Hi, second grade. We are going to be talking today about theme. That's something that's going to be coming up a lot in your ReadWorks articles this week. And we've talked about theme in second grade, but we usually call it central message. Theme and central message are the same thing, but we're going to be doing a little bit of review with that today so that you guys have it fresh in your brain as you're doing your ReadWorks articles this week. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to practice finding the theme in an article or a short story together. Okay, so before we read our story today, I wanted to go over what the theme or the central message is. So the theme is the main message of the story. It's what the author wants you to learn or know. It's a broad idea about life. This is a big important piece of it because the theme is not specific to the story. It's a big idea, like something like being a good friend or telling the truth. It's not going to have specific things to do with the characters and what they're doing, but it's the big lesson or the big idea. And it's usually not stated. You have to infer it. So you have to really think about what's happening in the story and what lesson you as the reader are learning. So we're going to practice finding the theme or the central message together. And then we're going to practice doing a multiple choice question to identify the theme after we read the story. So I'm going to go to this story called The Recital. And remember, we're working on finding the theme. So I want you to be thinking about what is the theme of this story as we're reading. Kara chose a difficult piece to play for the piano recital. Her teacher advised her to select an easier one, but Kara knew she could do it. Kara practiced every day after school. When her friends called to see if she could play, Kara told them that she couldn't and continued to practice. Even with all that practicing, a week before the recital, Kara still could not play the piece without making mistakes. Kara thought about giving up and switching to an easier piece, but instead she decided to double her practice time. The night of the recital arrived. Kara was the last student to play. As she walked onto the stage to take her place at the piano, she remembered the long hours she had spent practicing. Kara began to play. Her hands danced across the keyboard. She knew the piece so well. When the final note faded, the room erupted in applause. She had played the piece perfectly. So friends, we're thinking about what the theme of this piece is. What's the big idea? Now, we're not going to think too specific about what Kara learned. We're thinking about what we as the reader learn from this. So I know that Kara had to work really hard to meet her goal. Even when she was practicing, she still was struggling, and so she doubled her practice time instead of giving up. So I'm thinking that the theme has something to do with never giving up or maybe working really hard towards your goal. So let's look at the questions, the multiple choice question, and see if we can figure out what the answer is. So we're trying to figure out the theme for the story, The Recital. These are my three choices for my multiple choice question. So A, it takes a lot of practice to play the piano. B, Kara practiced a lot and did well. Or C, persistence pays off. And friends, persistence is a pretty big vocabulary word. So if you don't know what it means to keep trying or keep never giving up on something. So to never give up pays off. So let's take a second. I want you to think about, okay, what is, actually, we're going to rewind. Okay, so now we're going to look at these multiple choice questions and we're going to see if we can figure out which is the best answer to what the theme of the recital is. A, it takes a lot of practice to play the piano. B, Kara practiced a lot and did well. Or C, persistence, which means not giving up, pays off. I want you to take a second at home and think about what you think the theme is out of those three choices. Okay, let's go over each of the answer choices and see if we can figure out which one best tells the theme. So A, it takes a lot of practice to play the piano. Well, it did take Kara a lot of practice to play the piano, but remember the theme is a big, broad idea about life, and that's not a very big idea. That's very specific because it's only talking about the piano. So I don't think that's the theme. B, Kara practiced a lot and did well. Remember, we're not thinking about specifically what the characters were doing. We're thinking about the bigger idea when we're talking about the theme. So because this is talking specifically about Kara, I know that that's not the theme. C, persistence, which we know means hard work, pays off. Well, I know that in the story, Kara had to work really hard to learn her piece for the piano recital. And when she did that, it did pay off because she was able to perform the piece and she did it perfectly. So that tells me that C is the theme of the story. That's the big idea, the big lesson that was learned from reading this story is that persistence pays off. So when you are doing your ReadWorks articles this week, I want you to remember that the theme is the big idea or the broad idea about life in the story. And I want you to use that to help you answer the questions as you're working independently on your ReadWork this week.